We haven't been recording.
We are now.
I was thought we were recording our water conversation.
Our water conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Do we need to introduce do we need to introduce ourselves still, or?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think people know who we are. Do they?
They don't, but you know.
Does it matter?
No, exactly. Doesn't
matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They want to listen. They can listen.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Just go back to the very first podcast when we introduce ourselves.
Yeah, and if you're interested in Ghost in the Shell, then I'm sure you'll turn it off.
If you haven't seen Ghost in the Shell, then you would probably be best to turn it off. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about Pirates of the Caribbean.
We went and saw the latest one, number 25, yesterday.
Hey, it's still not Sword like number 8 or something.
Oh, and Fast and Furious as well. That'll be number 8 soon.
Furious.
Oh, no, it is number 8.
It is 8.
It is 8.
It's 9.
It'll be 9 soon.
What about Transformers as well? How many Transformers films are there?
I want to say 5.
That's 5 too many. Yeah, we went and saw Dead Men Tell No Tales, which is the 5th film.
The 5th one, yes.
I was going to say in the trilogy, but it's not really a trilogy
It's
anymore.
in the long-running saga of Jack Sparrow running around drunk.
Yep. On rum.
On rum, yes.
Okay, so we're actually going to be talking about the whole entire series. Starting from like the first one, Curse of the Black Pearl, which was initially released in 2003.
Yeah, and this franchise is 14 years old.
God, that's like older than some kids. So freaking old. It's so bizarre.
God, how old was I?
I would have been in year
I think I was 10.
I would have been year 2. I would have been...
I think I was grade 4, so...
Oh, yeah, I would have been 2 years old.
I was about 10.
I was 8 years old.
Because I do remember the first movie very fondly.
Okay. I was watching Harry Potter still then. This series lasted just as long as Harry Potter. Do you think about it?
Has it? Because it's still going. Although now Harry Potter's technically still going.
Hey, Harry Potter's still going with
because of that
Fantastic Beasts and Voldemort the Heir or something like that.
So that's a movie?
I don't know if that's a film or a TV series or a musical.
Linda was telling me there's another story about Voldemort coming out.
It's told from the heir of Godric Gryffindor. It's all over Facebook. It came up on my newsfeed. Anyway, so...
Must be real.
Yeah.
It came up on your newsfeed.
No, like, there was... No, it was like on an official website and all that.
Yeah.
It had its own fan page. So
we went and saw this. It's the 5th film, and to put it basically...
Bluntly.
I couldn't... Halfway through the film, I was so bored, I forgot what they were doing.
Yeah, well...
Or why they were doing it.
Like...
I think this film has been pretty universally panned as being pretty... Average.
Yeah.
Or bad. I don't know.
I don't think it's bad.
I don't think it's terrible, but it's just not very good.
It's just not very original. It's kind of like...
it doesn't have to be original. It's just... I don't know. It's just dull.
I guess.
It didn't have any momentum. It's directed by 2 guys from Norway who've done...
That's helpful.
Well, they did... there's one film that they're really known for, which is called Kon-Tiki.
Oh, yeah.
Which is about guys lost at sea, which was really popular. I think they've done a couple other things. Like I think there's a film with Salma Hayek and Penelope Cruz where they're like cowgirl characters or something, and they shoot people or something. They made that as well. I don't know.
Wow.
But the film felt like it had no momentum at all. It was really boring and dull. I'd say the first half was all right, and then it just lost me. Because the plot is basically that there's, like, Will Turner... it goes back to the start. Like, Will Turner's son, many years later, he's trying to break the curse that his father is tied to the Flying Dutchman.
Can I just say, like, I watched the end of World's End, and I swear to God, correct me if I'm wrong, but I swear to God that it was stated that if... So you know how with the curse of the Davy Jones
Flying Dutchman,
the curse of the Flying Dutchman. The issue was that because he had to transport souls from the living to the dead, that was their job. He could only step foot on land every 10 years, and then I swear on my life, this is what I heard, and I could have heard this from an external site or from a forum.
Yeah.
Not that I go around looking up Pirates of the
Pirates of the
Caribbean
Caribbean
forums.
facts and-
Yes. But I swear that the curse was, it stated that if the person who you were faithful to was faithful back to you, then the curse was broken and you were allowed to be back on land.
Okay.
Because the funny thing is, the whole point of Davy Jones cutting out his heart was because when he initially, like, he fell in love with the goddess of the sea, or whoever her name was.
Yeah, that was Naomi Harris's character.
Yeah. And she was unfaithful, and that's why he was so hurt, and that's why he cut out his heart, because he couldn't go back on land. So
I can't remember.
that's
be honest,
what I
don't
remember.
know. Like,
or maybe I'm putting things into my head.
I don't think they cared
Enough.
after the fourth one. They were just like, well, we need to get all the old characters back somehow.
So
because I'll say, like, this film ends and everybody's back.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like, that Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom are going to be back in the next one.
Yeah.
And they're already making the next one, and it's the same directors who made this one.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be just as dull.
Yeah. Well, like, that's what the first thing, literally, when all the expository was coming out, I was like, wait. This just completely clashes with what you've told us in the previous films.
I mean, I don't know what the story... I can't remember. What is it? What was the third film?
World's End.
World's End. Yeah, I can't remember. I know that it ends with, like... It's got, like, a bittersweet ending with...
Yeah,
Will
Orlando
being
Bloom.
stuck on the...
on the
thing,
boat.
and you can only see her once every 10 years or something.
Yeah, but then at the end you see that sequence where she's like walking out and he's coming back and it's like 10 years later or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a scene there and I thought, like, if she's been faithful... Like, look it up. I'm going to make you look it up. Go on Wikipedia and look that shit up, because I swear that's what it was.
Well, we will look it up. We will.
Well.
But, yeah, so the basic plot of this is that there's Poseidon's trident, which can
break or
lift
curses.
any curse that a pirate's under, or whatever, pirate curse, whatever it is. And then they have to go and find it, because
but it's hidden.
there's all this stuff they add.
It's on a map that no man can read.
Yeah,
and
so they get a lady.
Yeah.
That's the whole...
Typical.
It doesn't...
It's,
but it's all like to do with star maps and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. You have a man, you have a girl, they're out to break the curse.
Did anybody want this?
I don't know.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Maybe the green actors in there. They're like, oh, my first big break.
No, I don't mean like people in the car. I mean, like, is there an audience that really, really wanted to see a fifth one? So I know the fourth one
really enjoyed the
think
Disneyland ride.
I think the fourth one flopped really hard.
Oh yeah, no, it was. I remember
because nobody cared anymore.
It was so, like, on Stranger Tides was so blur that I remember I watched. I think they were playing Curse of the Black Pearl on television one night, and I watched Curse of the Black Pearl,
which is the best.
Which is
actually a good
what
movie.
we consider the best. Yep. And then I thought, you know what? I know there's sequels to this, and I thought the sequels only ended at World's End. Because I remember World's End coming out in the cinemas, a few years back. So I watched Dead Man's Chest and I watched World's End. And I'm thinking, okay, that's it. That's the series done. And then I'm on the Wikipedia page because I'm crazy. I do this a lot. I watch a film series and then I Wikipedia the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Or I, like, Google the shit out of it. I have to find out every little, like, if there's a book related to it, if there's, like, a television series, I have to, like, when I go deep, I go deep. So I'm looking it up and I'm thinking, okay, so this is the first film, yeah. And then I'm like, wait, there's another one? And I look and it's on Stranger Tides. And I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, do Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley?
No, they're not in the fourth one at all.
So I watch it and I'm like, this film has nothing to do with anything. Oh, wait, no. There was, the one thing I did grab from Stranger Tides is that there was one of the guys, you know how they capture a mermaid or something like that? You probably don't remember.
Yeah, it's like a siren mermaid
Yeah, you have
thing.
to capture a siren, and then there's a guy who falls in love with the siren.
Yeah.
He is the guy in Hunger Games. The attractive guy in Hunger Games.
Right.
And the one who plays the main character in Me Before You.
I don't know what any of that is.
These just two really...
I can't remember anything about the Hunger Games in terms of the cast.
Finn?
Apart from don't
No,
tell
okay.
me,
Oh,
'cause I
he
don't
was
know.
in quite a few films after that, and I didn't even catch on that he was in that film until like later on I was watching it. I'm like, this guy is really familiar, and I don't know where he's from.
Must have made an impression.
Must have. Or, I mean, obviously he just was glad to be in a film that wasn't on direct.
Well, it's like lots of people badmouth Orlando Bloom, and I completely understand because he's not a great actor. But he has more charisma than the lead in this one. because
This guy
even
just
in
has a pretty
the
face.
first one, him and Johnny Depp work really well together.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Well, I think
I
because
think
he's
it's
so
mostly
serious.
Depp, and I think it's mostly because Depp gave a shit in the first one as
Yeah.
well. Like, he was trying to do something new
Yeah.
and fun, and he had a bit of inspiration, and it was fun.
Yeah.
And I was actually saying, like, this film starts... The introduction of Jack Sparrow is always important in all of these movies.
Yeah.
And in this one, it's like they're robbing a bank.
Yeah.
That's the concept of the scene. You don't know it at first. They're just opening a bank on this island. I can't remember what island it is. I don't even know whether they mention it.
No.
One where David Wenham's the guy who runs it, pretty much, the army there. And he just plays a dickhead, which he just does now.
Yeah.
But there's the bank vault that they're revealing that's like sits in the middle of the bank, and it's just this big metal box with a door on the front that apparently you can't get into, and then they open it up to show everybody, and Jack Sparrow's asleep inside.
With, like, the minister's wife.
With the mayor's wife.
Yeah.
And the mayor's wife runs out, and they all try and shoot him.
Yeah.
And then it's like the other side of the bank through the vents or something at the back. They've tied ropes to the thing, and there's horses everywhere.
Yeah.
And his crew's trying to take the whole thing.
Yeah.
They end up taking the whole bank with them.
The whole building's like...
The whole
it's actually
building's like
really
that. It's
great.
pretty well done.
It's a really great action sequence if you think about it. But then...
It's the only scene I think I'll remember in the whole movie in like a year's time. But the thing is, it's really overly complicated to sort of reveal Jack.
Yeah.
And like to get us back into him. And then I always remember the first one. And it's the same sort of thing of like when I was watching ages ago.
Yeah.
Red Letter Media did their review of Star Wars. And they had like, I think it was the opening of Episode 1 as compared to the opening of A New Hope.
Yeah.
The opening of A New Hope, in just a few shots, it tells you everything you need to know. In an opening of Episode 1, you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Episode 1, A New Hope, it's like big Empire ship, tiny rebel ship, they're shooting at each other. And then it catches up to it, and then it all happens. Yeah. It's like, just tells you how big the Empire is, how small the rebels are.
Yeah.
In this one big shot, or few shots.
Yeah.
And in the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, it's like, he's in a little crappy
Dinghy.
boat.
Yeah.
Like, and it's sinking, and he's travelling out the water. And then it's got this, like, triumphant music and him up on the mast, like, looking out. And then the shot just pulls out, and it's just it's just poking out of the water, and then he just steps onto the
dock.
pier.
Yeah.
And just walks on like nothing happened. And that perfectly sums up his character.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to say anything.
No.
You know exactly what sort of person he is. Where this, it was better than... Nothing, but it wasn't. It was overly complicated. Yeah. It was too much. It's like, oh, I'm drunk. I'm this.
I think it would have been a better shot if it was towards not like the middle of the film, but just after the introduction, or having like a cool action sequence. You know, like that sequence in was it the first? I think it's the second film where he's him and Will Turner are like fighting to get the key to Davy Jones's heart chest thing, and they're spinning on that wheel.
On the mill with the Commodore. Can't remember his name.
Yeah, and I think that was a really good scene. I think that
was a fun action sequence.
Yeah, I thought if they had something like that in the middle, it would have been really good. It just gets really... I think it gets boring. It's kind of funny. We were talking about the overall tone of the film, and it's very stop-start. Like, there are certain parts of Jack Sparrow where he's being like... Johnny Depp's playing Jack Sparrow. Yeah. He's being all drunky.
But I don't even think he played him right anymore.
Yeah, well, you know...
It's like he's playing an over-the-top version of a character he used to play now.
Yeah, well...
It doesn't seem entirely like him.
I think it happens after a while. I think Johnny Depp's kind of sick and tired of playing Jack Sparrow.
I don't know. He's probably signed on for another 5 movies.
Yeah, well, he probably hates himself entirely. Yeah, but so, like, there's this tone where when Jack Sparrow was just Jack Sparrow on his own, it was really kind of funny, and it was like, you know, there's great action sequences where he's, you know, pulling a house away down the road. And then you've got the scene with, like, I can't even remember, I think it's Henry and Cara something, the girl, she's named after a star.
Oh, yeah.
Cara...
So the female lead in the movie.
I'm just going to call her the female lead, because I honestly don't... She's a really great actor. She was in The Maze Runner and Skins and all that.
She was terrible in The Maze Runner. My God.
Really? I thought she was good.
She's so bland and dull and barely says anything. Although I've only seen the first one.
Well, I read the book, so I guess it's easier
terrible.
I think it's easier to see with the books in mind. It's not great. Look, I wouldn't give her a 10 out of 10. I'd give her like a 6 out of 10.
She's okay in this.
Yeah, but she's like, you know, she plays her, and
she's better than the guy.
He's just a bit of a Jesse McCartney lookalike.
He's got no anything. And that's what I was saying about like Orlando Bloom. At least I was like kind of on board with him in the first few.
Well, the thing is, Orlando Bloom and Jack Sparrow, they kind of worked well with, you were saying, like they worked well with each other. This guy, Henry, I don't know the actor's name, and Jack Sparrow just didn't work at all. Like it was.
They just
you can't replace Orlando with a younger, weirder version of himself.
Him and the girl in this, they're just kind of nice looking people.
Yeah.
And that's it.
They're just attractive.
That's pretty much.
I think the girl has obviously a more...
I think she's a better actor
role
than him, probably.
But yeah, like scenes with them two together, it's all serious and like they're like, talking about sexual tension. Freaking hell, they're talking about sexual tension or something. I was like, roll my eyes. And then when it's Jack Sparrow, it's just like, I think I enjoyed the scenes with just Jack Sparrow more than the two other actors.
Him and Jeffrey Rush were together.
Yeah.
It worked the best. But it took them over an hour to get to that point in the movie because they don't meet. Like, Jeffrey Rush is barely in it. He's only in, like, the last half.
Yeah.
And he doesn't catch up with Jack
for a
long time.
Yeah. But, like, yeah, like I said, like, when it's him and Jeffrey Rush are there, it's all, like, crazy fighting scenes and it's all great. And that's, like, very reminiscent of original Pirates of the Caribbean kind of situation. And then...
We'll just flesh out the plot. It's basically Jack is running out of luck, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, he's got no ship because the Black Pearl's still stuck in a bottle.
Yeah.
Like, he's been building a crappy one with what's left of his crew.
Lone Gull or something.
Yeah. His crew, what is it, Dying Gull? The
Dying Gull.
That's what it's called. And then the crew leaves him because he can't pay them anything. In fact, he's charging them to be his captain.
Yeah.
To be their captain, and then...
He's like, pay tribute.
Yeah, you have to pay tribute. So, yeah, he's doing that. Then you got Will Turner's son who's trying to find out where this...
He's trying to find Jack Sparrow to help him...
find Poseidon's trident to get Will Turner off the Dutchman.
I don't forever. Actually... Now that I think about it, you don't really know why the lead female gets into all this because she just comes around saying...
It's because she wants to find it because her father, who is...
Barbosa.
Spoilers, Barbosa.
Yeah.
Which
is, I feel like it's very convenient. Like, oh my God, you're my daughter.
And it's funny because we say all this and we haven't mentioned Javier Bardem at all.
Yeah.
And he's the main villain of this movie. And I just...
None of the villains are very strong.
I feel like they just needed something else to be chasing them apart from the British Empire.
Yeah.
Because the British Empire are like kind of there, but they're not very threatening. They just kind of come up and then they get taken out in 5 seconds at the end. You've got Captain Salazar of the Spanish Navy, who used to like track down and kill pretty much every sort of pirate imaginable because apparently one killed his father. And that's Javier
that's
Bardem's
vengeance.
Yeah, like he'd just go along, and then one day Jack Sparrow outsmarted him
when he was really young.
When he was like
CGI.
really young and badly CGI'd, young Johnny Depp.
So creepy.
It didn't look good at all. It looked terrible. And then he ended up in the something triangle. It's not the Bermuda Triangle. It's something else.
The Terror Triangle or the Demonic Triangle, something
like that. But he ends up in there and he becomes like undead and stuck in there,
which is really never explained.
And it's weird because apparently he can only be let out of this if Jack Sparrow lets go of his compass, like gives it away.
Yeah, because he can't move out of the triad, can he?
No, he can't. Move out of the triangle.
They were saying like if you betray the compass, it'll let go. It'll unleash your biggest fears or your biggest terror or something like that. That's what I remember them saying. So apparently, like they tell you this like way later after Salazar's like left like the triad and everything, because at that certain point you're just like, okay, I don't know who this person is, but apparently he's the villain.
Yeah.
Like I said, none of the villains are very strong. And then there's that flashback scene where Salazar's repeating what happened between him and Jack to Barbosa.
Yep.
And he tells you, and then there's this one scene where the captain who's dying gives Jack the compass and he's like, don't betray it or else it'll unleash your biggest fears. And then obviously you see, like, previously Jack had given the compass away for a bottle of alcohol.
Yeah.
But it's all a bit like, oh, okay.
It's all stuff like...
I guess that's it then.
This should have happened like 3 films ago because I'm pretty sure he gives the compass away several times to Will or here or this, and like he just gives it to people to use.
Yeah, but
and then he has to get it back. And then
he gets it back though, the compass, doesn't he? There's really no
But there's no real reason that the compass should lead to that because he gets it off his captain.
Yeah.
After the captain dies during the fight with Salazar, but there's no inclination of like the compass being linked to that triangle thing that he lures them into.
Exactly.
There's nothing.
Yeah, because you think like, the compass has something to do. Like Jack got the compass through the triad, and then he used the compass to curse
The
them.
triad.
The area, I don't know.
The triangle.
The triangle, whatever. But you think like
Triads are
he
those.
somehow used the compass. I mean, the compass technically did point to the triangle in the
No,
flashback.
It points to whatever you want the most.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. It just didn't.
That's the whole thing. And
There's no real like proper connection. Oh,
No.
compass equals curse equals this, and then we have this whole other question where I'm like, why the fuck is Salazar going around chasing Jack Sparrow so he can get revenge when Jack Sparrow is trying to find the trident to cure the curse?
Yeah. Why
So it's
can't they
like-
just work together
Yeah,
and
and
uncurse him?
Curse him, and then they'd be like,
But,
okay,
well,
debts repaid.
It's like they kind of do that with the flashback by saying he just hates pirates, pretty much. He just wants to kill pirates.
Yeah, but then why is he
But
stopping Jack
it's-
Sparrow from helping him uncurse himself? Like,
Yeah,
he should
just
like,
kill him afterwards.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
just kill him afterwards, man.
That's a very pirate thing to do. Oh, but then he'd be a pirate. He'd be just like them.
Oh yeah,
They never make that point.
He's undead, and he can't feel things or anything. He hasn't
And
seen
he
sunlight in like
murders
20
people
years.
all the time,
Yeah.
but he's not a pirate.
He murders people, but he's
in
not
fact,
morally wrong.
For the first half of the film, I thought he was supposed to be like a
Yeah,
dead
that's
pirate.
what I thought too.
It wasn't until they mentioned they
Because
had that whole flashback.
Yeah, he killed so many people. So you're thinking he's just another pirate ship that.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, I'm part of the Spanish Navy.
Spanish
I'm doing
Armada.
the right thing.
I
Boobity
killed
boobity
pirates
boop.
to get rid of them.
I kill people, but I'm not bad because they're pirates. Oh, stupid.
And of course, we have to side with the pirates.
Yeah, of course you do.
That makes sense. But yeah, the film really loses it completely when they're trying to find the trident of Poseidon. As soon as they're on the water, just trying to find it,
It's really boring.
there's several. I think there's several sequences where it's just the girl's trying to convince them that she knows how to read the stars and can find them, and they're going, "Oh, I don't know."
Yeah, I don't know.
And it's the same scene about 3 times, just slightly different.
Yeah, it's really, there's some really, like I said, really good scenes, and we're talking about the tone of it, and it's like there's some really good parts, and then there's just some really boring parts.
And speaking of that, the sequences, like the action in the second half of the movie,
they're very dark.
it's really
It's
dark,
insane,
and I
right?
couldn't follow it at all.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was happening.
Yeah, like
half
a lot
the
of it was
time.
like because Jack was like running around between boats and he was jumping on the cannons.
Yeah.
But you're like, wait, and like, look, I have really bad vision. I wear like glasses, and my vision's not.
okay. I couldn't make it.
Yeah,
What was,
like-
I didn't know where he was. I knew he was between the boats, but I didn't know which boat he was on from time to time.
and it was very dark, and it was all shadowy, and you could have been just looking at a black screen. You'd be like, okay,
I think that's why I like the opening sequence more as well, because it's broad
bright.
daylight
yeah.
and you could see everything.
Yeah.
And then that sequence is just
It was
unintelligible.
very
And then the last sequence where they found the trident,
Yeah.
because it's kind of underwater.
There's like 2 walls of water.
There's 2
between
big
them.
balls of water, and they're on the
seafloor,
sea
yeah.
floor, and they're
Yeah.
fighting. And it's just because of that like blue hue, and everything's darker because they're so far
Yeah.
away from the sun. It
Yeah.
just looked ugly as well.
But
Didn't
there's
look
no
nice.
I felt like, normally if you have a dark scene, you try and make people's, like, obviously not everyone's like super fair, but you try and make the people stand out a bit more, like,
Color graded.
color graded a little bit more, make it look nicer.
I don't know.
And no, it was
probably
like
went,
everyone
no.
was just blue,
Yeah.
blue AF.
They probably thought, no, this dim, ugly lighting works for Suicide Squad.
I think lighting was better in Suicide Squad. Actually, I'm going to call that right
It
now.
looks terrible in that as well.
It was okay.
Awful.
I'm a bit more lenient. It's okay. It's okay. I'll let you pass. I'll give you a B minus. Yeah, no, like it was just not, it got to a point where you're just kind of like waiting for things to brighten so you can finally see, like, you're waiting for them to get out and all that.
Yeah.
So you can be like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, this is happening. And then like the end scene was really weird for me because I'm like, so obviously Will Turner and
Yeah, there's a big extended. So the whole thing is they destroy the trident and it lifts like every curse ever.
yeah.
Which it makes me wonder what the hell the next film's going to be about. If
Not
they've
curses.
if they've lifted every freaking curse
Yeah.
ever. But it's basically like, because at the start of the film, the really young kid, Will Turner's kid, like when he was a child, finds him, like on the Dutchman, knows where he's going to be, finds him, then talks to him. He just says, "No, forget about me, leave me behind, blah blah blah, don't worry." And then he finds it, and at the end of the film, when everything's done, they're like on the same island again, and he appears on the shore, like normal again.
Yeah.
human walks up and, you know, it's so corny. Yeah. That whole sequence was so, it's like, oh, it's hugs.
It was like the very,
and then
very end sequence, I guess.
The funniest that almost made me laugh is when he hugs his son and everything like that. And then Keira Knightley like comes over the hill.
Yeah. But
in her dress.
Yeah. But do you remember I was like, and here's Keira. Literally I was sitting next to her and I'm like, and here's Keira. And then lo and behold,
and then
she
there's
comes
this
up.
big wide shot as the music swells of them running towards each other, like across the. It was hilarious.
It was one of those. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, we know it's coming. Yeah. Just let it come. Just let the. As I'm not sure if this is like. Sorry, this is just like one random sporadic quote, but in like Beauty and the Beast and like the Beast, the cast. This is the animated film, and the Beast is getting attacked, and then the objects are like, "Sire, what do we do?" And he's like, "It doesn't matter now. Just let it come." That's what I felt. I was like, it doesn't matter now. Just let it happen. Oh, God. Just fuck me.
The credits started rolling after that and it was all over.
And no, they started kissing and then Henry and, like, the female were just, like, walking around and I'm like, do you not feel weirded out your, like, parents making out
because you know how that whole sequence is funny to me is because it's like, so you left mum at home. Yeah, no.
There was just nothing about Keira Knightley except the very end. Oh, here she is. Or, like, there was a bit of stuff with Jack Sparrow talking about Elizabeth and all that stuff and it being a bit like, oh, yeah, you know, your mum never mentioned me, which I think was a little funny, but at the same time...
All the funniest parts in the movie were callbacks to the other movies.
Yeah, exactly. And then... you think to yourself, it's like, because I was thinking there's going to be some explanation of what's happened in the past, like however old this guy is, like, 18, 19. In the past 19 years, surely, like, there would have been some news about Elizabeth, or that he would say, oh, my mum's been good, or she's blah, blah, blah. Like, there wasn't even she's at home today, blah, blah, doing this or that, doing royal duties. I think she's royalty or something like that.
She's a noble woman.
She's a noble woman. She's doing noble woman
Although
stuff.
I don't think she's allowed to anymore since she joined with pirates, became their leader for a brief period of time and married one.
True. Well, either way, she's
and her
doing.
Father's dead as well, so
true. And she's doing. You know, I expected him to be like, "Yeah, mum's home. She's doing all this stuff." She's like, "No, she's well," and I'm like.
So the other thing as well, I remember like the cast of characters they had in the first few. There were a lot of good actors.
Yeah.
Like they had what's his name? Like Bill Nye was.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Not that guy. Not the science guy. The real guy. Who played Davy Jones.
Yeah.
And then you had like, I can't remember his first name, Skarsgård, who's a pretty good actor from Sweden, I think.
The guy who was in Thor and stuff. Yeah. He was
Will, dad. Yeah, he was Will Turner's dad.
So he's Henry's granddad.
Yeah. And like they've had Ian McShane and everything playing Blackbeard in their crappiest one. And then they had a lot of good people, like Vincent Price. Jonathan Price was Keira Knightley's father, and lots of good actors.
Yeah.
And this one, it's just...
A lot of green actors. So many.
Boring. Even Javier Bardem couldn't do very much to, like, lighten... I didn't like him at all in this. Yeah. I just didn't really... I could barely understand him, and I think that was something they did to his voice, maybe, or how he was performing it. I don't know. It wasn't his accent. It was like they did something, and half the time it's like he would like go and say something, and then they'd reply to it like they understood. And I went, "What?
Huh?
What was that?
What, girl?"
I will
Speak
say
up for me.
The effects on him and his crew are pretty good, though.
Yeah,
because it's like they've been shredded. Bits of them are missing, but they're still walking around as though they've got...
They showed, like, the boat exploded with fire, and some of them, parts of their bodies disintegrated.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good.
And they're still in that state.
Yeah.
Like, bits of them kind of missing, but, like, if there's a bit of... If like, the upper arm's missing, the lower arm's still there, exactly where it would be. What
I thought was pretty funny was one of the first scenes where, like, what's his name? Scars, the Spanish actor.
Javier Bardem.
Yeah. Wait, you were talking about him, right? Before?
Not before. I'm talking about...
Like, literally just, like, 2 seconds ago when you're talking about the special effects.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, we're talking about the same people, right? You know, and then he's at the front, he's talking to Henry Turner, and he's like, obviously he's mumbling or whatever. He's mumbling, and, like, blood and all that's coming out, and it's all weird. And then he's like, "Dead men tell no tales." And then it's like roll credits, and the credits.
The start.
And the credits start rolling, and I'm like, "Oh, What are the fucking chances?
Bad.
Yeah, it was just so like, oh my god, like, come on, man, we're better than this.
There's another really unnecessary sequence in that movie. And it's where... Oh, that was actually the other sequence I didn't mind, was when the executions, the dual execution.
Oh, I was going to mention that the guillotine where it's spinning.
Yeah,
I thought that was actually really funny.
There's a good bit with the guillotine because it's like he gets out of the thing and he's just like, okay, you get to choose which method you hanging or guillotine. And he goes, well, this guillotine thing sounds French. He goes, so I think I'll go for that. You know, they're good, the French, and all that sort of stuff. And then he sees what it is and goes, change your mind. And they're like, no, too late.
No.
And he goes,
And
oh,
they
this
strap
basket's
him
got heads in it. And all that sort of stuff. And then his crew shoots the cannonball underneath it and it starts like swinging.
And the guillotine goes...
You get a point of view of like his head and you see the blade going back and forward every time.
So funny.
Every time it swings. That was good.
That was, like I said, there was some really good scenes.
That was fun.
But like then it just kind of dropped off a little.
Yeah. But
it's like...
the unnecessary sequence I want to talk about is just before then, when he's getting out of his cell.
God, we talked about this.
There's a whole in-joke in Pirates of the Caribbean that Johnny Depp, I think, grew up knowing Keith Richards pretty well, who everybody knows is the lead guitarist of the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
And he has a very particular way of talking and acting because most likely of all of the drugs he's taken over his lifetime.
Yeah.
And so Johnny Depp has based the character of Jack Sparrow around basically an impression of Keith Richards.
Yeah.
And then Keith Richards was in the third and fourth Pirates of the Caribbean movie as his
dad.
father.
Yeah.
And then this film, for some reason, he meets his uncle. Yeah, he meets his uncle in a cell, who's played by Paul McCartney.
I didn't realise it was Paul McCartney. It looks so weird.
I knew because I'd heard it. He was in it.
Okay. Because I literally didn't recognize... Because when I see Paul McCartney with like short hair, like, you know... Well, he was wearing makeup, so...
Oh, he's wearing a hell of a lot of crap.
Yeah, and I'm like, he's got like huge dark dreadlocks as Jack Sparrow has, and I was just like... And then when Ren was like, this was Paul McCartney, and I'm like, no, it's not. Shut the fuck up.
But it's just, he's singing somewhere, obviously. They had to do that.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, that's my uncle so-and-so. And then the guards like literally just take him over to have a small conversation with him.
Yeah, and the guards are like, oh, and they just stop. They just stop.
They just stop
it's
and
like,
let them
I didn't know prisoners had rights. God damn. Like, you're about to be executed, but you can talk to your uncle. That's fine.
It's like, apparently he's very well connected. He can get them to not cut their feet off and all that sort of stuff for the execution. And
it's funny, but it's just such a slapstick moment in the middle of this film.
I don't know why. It's just in there to have another, 60s rock star in it. But I don't know what the point of it was, and it didn't really add anything to the movie.
Exactly. And
it's not like the Keith Richards stuff where it's like, oh, it's funny because he's actually...
Yeah.
He actually based it off him.
Yeah. But I think like the actual, like, that type of sequence, it does happen in certain films, but it's like a type of comedic thing where it's like, something serious about to happen. Oh, well, here's my uncle, and then you have a chat.
Okay, so the different thing is like they have Paul McCartney in this one. They have David Hasselhoff in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. But that was a punchline to a joke, pretty much, because in that Peter Quill's like, I always imagine my father's like David Hasselhoff, going around in a talking car.
Yeah.
Saving people and all that sort of stuff. And then there's a brief moment where he turns into David Hasselhoff and then goes back into it. And it was funny.
Yeah. But the thing is, that was the era, though. Like, Peter Quill technically came from that era.
This is way before the Beatles.
Yeah.
But it's, that being said, he's not playing Paul McCartney either.
Yeah.
But the whole point of that scene is to go, oh, it's Paul McCartney. And you can barely tell because he's got so much shit on his face.
I know. It was just so bizarre.
It's a very pointless scene. I don't know why it's in the movie.
Yeah, but it just was an off-putting scene because as soon as they stopped, I was like, why did they stop?
Yeah.
They should be dragging him. And then they pulled... He literally, like, Jack Sparrow, like, moves towards the cage and then walks up to it. And the guards are like, okay. Well, I guess we don't have to do our jobs today. And it's just such a out of the world moment compared to the rest of the film. Because in the rest of the film, everyone's all serious and, like,
Kind of.
Well, not...
I don't even know
how serious as it can get. But everyone's kind of all like, running from the, whoever we're running. Or he's always running from someone. And, everything kind of just flows along. And then this is the scene where it's kind of a bit slapstick. And it's just like, hello.
The whole movie is very slapstick. It's just unnecessary.
Yeah.
But there's another extended joke which they bring up several times, is that she's a horologist.
Oh, yeah. That's not even funny.
It's not even
That's
that
like the most immature, like the horologist and the...
It's like, she's a horologist. Oh, my mum was a horologist. No, she didn't go on about it like you did. Blah, 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 you know. It's like, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Horologist, huh?
You think she's a prostitute. Okay.
It's funny. We laughed like the first time. After the fourth, fifth time, we're like...
They keep saying it.
They're like, she's a horologist.
You're just like... It's like the writers sat down and went, oh, the profession that she has sounds kind of like whore.
Huh.
Let's make it 10 jokes about this so we don't have to write as much or have to come up with as much. Well, the best use of that...
When you're trying to fill out a 10,000 word essay, he died in this age. This year was the year he died. When he died on this time.
Yeah, you just say the same thing over and over. But yeah,
it's like she was a horologist. A horologist she was. When she was a horologist.
The best use of that joke was later on when, after Jack works out that Barbossa's the father,
like,
and he goes, you know, she's a horologist, right?
And Barbossa's face like,
Okay.
That was probably the only one I'd like, okay, I'll pass for that. That's pretty funny.
That was all right.
But when, like, the first time they made the joke, it's funny. And then after a few more times where they keep calling her that, I'm like, okay. Like, we all know what it is. We all know what you think it is. I will say
that this series has departed very much from what Disney usually does, because people die all the time in this series.
Yeah, a lot of people die.
They can't kill anybody in Marvel, but they kill people left and right in this.
Oh, at one point, Salazar was like, every time I bang my sword, someone's going to die.
Yeah.
Just bangs his sword.
He just does it like 5 times. And
he's
5
full
of
on
Barbossa's crew just get stabbed.
Yeah, no. And Barbossa's like, fuck me.
But yeah, it was good. That sort of little thing. But
no, it was like I said, it started off good, it kind of dropped off at the end.
But as far as recommendations go, I would say that I probably wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah.
I can't see myself watching it again.
I'd
gladly watch the first one again.
I watched the trilogy again, but I said a couple of my friends said...
probably watch the original 3.
My friends were like, oh, well, do you recommend it? And I'm like, have you seen the first film? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, you don't need to watch this film then, exactly. Pretty much. If you watch the first film, it's like, in a way, a mirror.
The 4th and the 5th I'd never see again.
Yeah.
And they've announced the 6th one, directed by these same 2 guys who did this one.
I'd watch it.
I don't see...
I'd make you watch it.
I don't see a point.
You know what? It is our decision? I don't know. Okay, if we choose to be film reviewers, we have to watch all the films.
The first one, to me, is like very... It reminds me of just like anything else that's like that level that's supposed to be just kind of entertaining, like the Indiana Jones films or whatever. It's the first one for me was up there with those, and the rest of them. Second one's pretty good, but the third one's odd. The 4th one's terrible. The 5th one is better than the 4th one, I'll say. But,
yeah, 5th one's terrible.
But not by much.
I wouldn't say that. I would say it's quite a decent amount better. It's just, it's like, it's good for the, like, obviously, like Non-Stranger Ties was just a complete failure. I think with this film, like, if you're a fan of the Pirates of the Caribbean series, then you're generally
but if you're a fan, you're probably going to see it no matter what.
Yeah, but you're gonna come out of the cinema and not feel like you've been cheated out of a good film. I mean, overall in all, like, if you look past some of the minor stuff, you'd still pretty much like, it's not going to be come out, it was amazing, blah blah blah, best film ever, 10 out of 10. But you come out and you're like, okay, you know, I'm happy with.
There's a lot of that these days.
Yeah,
it's a lot of just, it was alright.
Yeah, but we can't all be...
I didn't feel anything, but that's fine.
Yeah, but you can't ask for too much. It's a freaking series based upon a freaking Disneyland ride, okay, Ren?
Yeah. It's based on like a lot of actual pirate myths.
Pirate myths?
Proper pirate myths like Davy Jones and all that sort of stuff, you know? Yeah. They're things that people were actually afraid of back then. Had all those stories. Oh, it was a gigantic squid that he controls.
Kraken.
The Kraken. That was the best thing about the second movie. Those sequences where all the ships would get ripped apart by the Kraken.
I'm trying to remember originally.
I remember watching the behind the scenes for stuff like that, and they'd have like a massive ship and just this like thing, and they digitally like do things, they'd like drop stuff on it, and then like the ship would just explode underneath, like rip in two. So they did a lot of that practically as well, like real effects.
What I thought they would have done would be like they have like a miniature ship and they zoom in on it, and then they're like, it just, because this is like terms of budget, that's a lot cheaper to do.
Oh yeah,
a lot
of course.
People do that, but I guess
they wanted it to look
giant
awesome.
Ship. Yeah,
and they knew it was going to make money.
Yeah,
The first one, I think, made much more than they were expecting.
Well, that's a lot of... What film was it that
I would kind of say that Pirates of the Caribbean has something in common with Star Wars, which is like nobody made pirate movies before Pirates of the Caribbean came out. Not that many people are, but it was huge.
Yeah, it's true.
And I don't think they were expecting it.
Well, pirates weren't really a genre people touched upon. I mean, not
They
that
did
pirates
before,
are
but
a
they were
genre.
never that good.
No, the thing is, the most like piratey film I've watched since before Pirates of the Caribbean is probably like Peter Pan.
Because it's got pirates in it.
Yeah,
Not really because
not
it's
really
a pirate
film,
movie.
but like,
But they're in it. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a bit like... I know that there are other films that I just haven't seen them.
Because
I don't think they're...
Star Wars is like
highly
space pirates.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I guess. They got ships.
Yeah.
It's all naval talk anyway.
Yeah.
They do that. Spaceships.
True. So weird. Weird now that we think about it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much all we've got to say on Pirates of the
Yeah.
Caribbean.
We're going to talk about other films that are coming up.
So, in 2 weeks' time, we'll do another one. Another podcast. We're probably going to be... Because Wonder Woman comes out next week, we'll do that, but we'll probably also do The Mummy.
Yeah.
Which is the start of a new cinematic universe.
I swear to God, if there's another fucking cinematic universe, I'm gonna fucking shoot someone. Like, I'm not kidding. I'm just like, just because Marvel did it and it was successful does not mean everyone else has to fucking do it. You know, you can be an individual. You know that. That's a thing.
Yeah, well, they don't want to bank on anything new. See, they tried to make a Ghostbusters one.
Nope.
And that failed
did not work.
horrendously badly.
Yeah, you think.
Oh,
by the way, I did watch Ghostbusters. I'm not sure if I told you, and I didn't hate it. It was just weird.
I saw it, and yeah, the same. I didn't hate it, but I just thought it was crap.
No, but I just was like, I mean, some parts of it I thought
It's
was
different when you watch the original.
I think, yeah.
And what it's supposed to be.
Because my partner went and watched the original, and he was like, "Okay, there's just no comparison.
Yeah,
The original
it doesn't
was better."
even compete.
Yeah,
You do not have the same level of smart asshole.
it just
as
wasn't
Bill
funny.
Murray.
Because some of it was just too comical. It was way too comical for the type of film it was aiming for.
It felt really basic. It was really basic humour.
Yeah,
Like I fell over.
like
and
boobs
something.
and stuff.
Oh, I said queef.
Yeah,
Yay, clap.
get out of my friend. Huh?
That's all. And then I'll hit you. And it'll make a big loud slapping noise.
Anyway.
Look, it's Chris Hemsworth acting like an idiot. Hey,
Yeah.
funny. And that was a movie.
What other
Sucked.
What
But
other
yeah.
films were coming up?
But yeah, we're watching those two. The Mummy, as I was saying, it's at the start of the Dark Universe. The new Universal Studios monster movie universe that they're trying to make.
Jesus Christ.
And The Mummy looks to me like every Tom Cruise movie. Tom Cruise runs away from explosions. That's all that's happening in the trailer. He's running away and things are exploding or falling apart behind him.
Yeah.
And then there's the woman from Kingsman who had no legs playing the Mummy, and she goes all the time.
Oh, is that her?
Yeah.
Holy shit! I really love her as an actress, though. Seriously. So,
Didn't have any lines.
yeah,
Didn't
she's
she?
still, yeah, but she's
Oh
still,
no, she did.
She had like two. She's like, here's
two
a
lines in the
McDonald's.
whole movie. Here's Macca's.
Speaking of Kingsman,
I'm gonna cut you up.
Golden Circle.
Yeah, that's not for months.
Oh, I watch it like now. We've got Spider-Man: Homecoming, which I'm really excited about.
That looks alright.
We saw the trailer and I was actually like, oh, okay, now I can get used. I can
Certainly
watch
looks
that.
better than the Andrew Garfield ones.
Yeah,
Yes.
those was. You know what? For a certain moment in my life, everyone was talking so hard because obviously Andrew Garfield is such a babe, but apparently,
It's funny because he's fallen out of that and he's like gone into serious movies now.
yeah.
He's in
But, like,
Hacksaw Ridge last
yeah,
year,
I know. But the thing is, I was
which I liked.
I
So,
always loved the original. Well, not the third one. That got a bit weird.
I like Sam Raimi's how Sam Raimi directs a movie.
Yeah, but like the first two, the one where he's
One
obviously
where he finds his power, the origin story, and then the
second
Dr.
one.
Octopus.
Yeah, I really like
Those two are
films.
great. Yeah.
And I've always liked them. And even when I actually haven't seen the Amazing Spider-Man or whatever it's called, I haven't seen them
I
because
haven't seen the second one. I
haven't
saw the
seen them.
first one and I
because
was
to me
alright.
I was just like, look, I'm really I'm quite satisfied with the original series, and I never had the urge to watch the other ones. The third one was stupid, but
I had a new appreciation for Tobey Maguire after that movie, actually.
exactly. That's what I felt. I was just like...
I was like, actually, he was pretty good.
Yeah, but I had this thing where all these people were talking about how great the new one was and how amazing Andrew Garfield
most people just go with, oh, it's new, so it's better.
Well, I think because he was cute. And, like, if you think about Andrew Garfield's a well-attractive kind of...
He just acted awkward through the whole movie, and that was kind of it.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it going, he doesn't strike me as, like, Tobey Maguire's awkward in a different way in it. Like, it's believable.
Yeah. Well, he's not... He
even
looks
though
like
those
the
movies
nerdy
are deliberately corny.
Yeah.
Like, the original ones are deliberately kind of corny and silly, but they're very superhero, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Whereas the Andrew Garfield one is
Andrew Garfield doesn't look like a nerdy kid.
He doesn't look like a nerdy person.
He looks like a hipster.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
In fact, he's probably like more likely what Peter Parker would be if he was created today. Like some hipster guy who takes photos for the newspaper.
Yeah, exactly.
And take him in black and white.
But that's why I'm thinking, like, it didn't fit, so I never watched it. And then the new Spider-Man, I was
Emma
actually
Stone
like...
had nothing to do in those movies either.
Yeah, that really confused me. Because I thought it was going to be Mary Jane, and then it wasn't Mary Jane.
Gwen Stacy.
It's Gwen Stacy, and then Mary Jane comes afterwards. Because apparently Gwen Stacy is...
I don't know how the comic books work.
Yeah, so
I don't care.
In the comic book, I read this up. Like I said, I'm Wikipedia crazy. I looked this up, and apparently Gwen Stacy, like she dies, and then after Gwen Stacy she dies, then Mary Jane comes into the picture.
I have seen her death scene from the second movie,
and
it's hilarious. Yeah, because of the hand comes out of the web and tries to grab her, and it grabs her, and she breaks her neck.
Yeah, well, she hits the back of her head, and like her
pretty
head,
much
she's dead.
She
dies.
It's funny to me.
Spoilers. I don't think
that's how effective that scene is. I found it funny. I haven't seen the whole movie. I've just seen that.
Oh yeah, so that's me too. I've only seen it, and I'm like, and I was like, oh, that's. Initially, I was like, oh yeah, no, she's dead. As soon as I see her head hit the ground, I'm like, oh, she's dead, honey. Yeah, and then he's like crying, and then I'm like, this is awkward.
And then they're just like, oh, it's set up for 25 other sequels, and then it never happened.
Yeah.
And the whole.
Is that a cat?
Yeah, that's a cat somewhere. Again.
This is the second podcast. Is that Aries?
No.
Or is that Cashmere?
No, it's Shade.
Oh, no, Cashmere's...
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, my God, Cashmere.
But...
That's Shade.
Anyway, what was I saying? Homecoming looks a bit more promising.
Yeah, it does.
Because they hired an actual teenager.
Yeah, Tom Holland looks a bit more like the geeky teen. I mean, obviously it's placed more in modern times, but he still looks like,
he's probably the better part of Civil War.
Yeah, he was.
Really?
Yeah, he was like, oh, wow.
It's like, oh, that Spider-Man stuff was fun.
And the whole part where, you know what I really like, though? That scene in the trailer. I'm not sure if you've seen... It wasn't in the trailer we saw in the cinema, but it was in one I saw a while ago. Mm-hmm. And it was like, Iron Man had pulled him aside, and it's like, oh, that was really dangerous. Someone could have died. You could have died today. And he was like, I just want to be like you. And then Tony Stark turns around and is just like, I want you to be better than me. Mm-hmm. That was like, I actually really like that. Like, I thought that was really, really powerful.
I like the dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, instead of having to do the whole Uncle Ben thing again.
Yeah.
Of going, he's the role model and the thing that keeps telling him how he's supposed to be good. I mean, it's obviously they're going to probably make reference to it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I like that he's got a different one and it's Iron Man.
Yeah. But I like it because it's like Uncle Ben was like an everyday average Joe, whereas Tony Stark's like a superhero. And obviously it's going to be different when you have the superhero as your, mentor versus having Uncle Ben as your mentor. I'm excited to see it.
That's actually one thing I thought was hilarious about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, the original first two, is how he portrays people in New York.
Yeah.
They're all super friendly and like, go Spider-Man and all that sort of stuff. It was kind of funny. Yeah. But I know he did, I heard that he did it was because it was like the post 9/11 thing, like really close afterwards. Yeah. It was like everybody's really united and loves Spider-Man and all that sort of stuff,
My scene I always remember is when they're talking about Spider-Man and all that. That montage when Spider-Man's just happened, and then there's that guy under this subway playing the guitar.
Yeah.
And he's like, look out for the Spider, or something like that. It was so funny. It's one of my favourite scenes.
Do you know there was an ad made for that before 9/11 that included the towers, and they had to pull it purely because of that and like move the movie forward, I think, some time, because there was apparently going to be like a whole sequence in the film
where it was
around
the
that
towers.
Yeah, because the the ad that they showed is like there's a helicopter going along full of like bad guys and they're flying and they get stuck in a web between them.
Oh,
that he's made, and then it shows like Spider-Man and stuff like that, and that was the whole thing, and they just pulled it straight away.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Because that whole thing about Spider-Man is like all about New York. That's the whole point of Spider-Man. He's a New Yorker.
Oh, it was good.
He protects the city.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, you know, like Tom Holland is just like is very small, or in terms of appearance, very small, geeky kind of boy, which reminds me of the character that Tobey Maguire was. Like he's very small.
And Tobey Maguire was a full-grown adult playing a teenager.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield was like full on, like, oh no, you're a man, you're a man, honey.
He was too, and
he was tall and he had like made up hair, and it was like he looked attractive, you know. And I'm not saying like Tom Holland isn't attractive or anything like that, but I'm like,
he just looks like
an average man.
He goes to high school.
Yeah, he looks like an average guy. He doesn't look exceptionally attractive. Whereas with like Andrew Garfield.
Yes.
I was going to say Tony Garfield for a second. With Andrew Garfield, I'm like, oh no, you're an attractive guy, and I know why they hired you, and I know why they put you in this role, and it wasn't for your acting skills. Like, girls liked him. That's just pretty much it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
that's fine.
I mean, no, it's not, but
that's fine. It's just a crappy product.
Just let it come
anyway.
now.
It's just a crappy product anyway.
Yeah.
People watch it and then they never see it again. Doesn't matter.
Well, no, people raved about it. Like
I know they raved about it,
but
they probably forgot about it now.
Yeah, or like Avatar.
They're probably all about, what's the other thing? 50 Shades of Grey now. They're all over that
50
now.
Shades Free is coming. Hey, should we do a 50 Shades of Grey?
I'm not watching it.
I'm going to make you watch it.
No.
I'm going to make you watch it.
No.
I watched the first film. It was okay. It was actually, the films are better than the books, guys. Like, let me be honest here. I read don't hate me. I've read the books. I've watched the first film.
I just, ugh.
The film is better. Book is like full on montage, like of her, like my inner goddess, and you're like, I can't fucking read this shit. Like I've never ever put down a book and been like, I physically can't read this because
it's garbage.
No, not because it's garbage. Because like when you're reading like, it's like the equivalent of reading a dictionary. You're all reading just drabble.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no meaning behind it. It's just blah blah words.
Dictionary is useful.
Yeah, true. So like the Holy Bible. No, I'm joking. Oh gosh. But do you ever like read? No, you probably haven't because there's no book like this. But it's the equivalent of literally like you might as well reading like random numbers on a page and it's be the same equivalency because you're like none of this is going in, none of this makes sense, none of this is worth reading.
Nothing has been as fast selling as those books.
Yeah, well,
mums everywhere bought it.
I know. You know what? The first time I heard of that book was from one of my friends who was like a year older than me. She was like, "Oh, it gives me the tingles." You think I'm kidding, but I'm fucking
I know you're not kidding. That's why it's funny.
I'm not fucking kidding. I was just like, okay. And then I read like 2 pages and I'm like, this is pure unadulterated garbage. And she's like, no, it's a good book. And I'm like, says who?
So good.
The mums down your street? What the fuck? Oh my god. It's just not a very good book. Like, I understand Twilight because I think like Twilight was made.
I don't understand that either.
No, but I think it was made for a certain generation of kids.
Maybe. Losers. You looked at me like,
I used to read Twilight.
I know.
No, but like it was made with this certain, teenage group in mind, and it was about a girl falling in love. Which, you know what? As much as I hate to say this, there are a lot of books out there like that.
That's an old story.
Yeah.
It was interesting actually. It must have been Jordan Peterson again. He was talking about female fantasy, and he said. He started off the thing, I think, by saying, women hate, like, weak men. He goes, they'll tear them apart. He goes, they only like... He goes, the archetype of, like, what a woman wants is, like, the Beauty and the Beast thing. It's like a literal animal that they can tame and present to society. He goes, and this is funny, because he had, like, Google engineers, I think. They did, like, a thing of, like, internet searches. Yeah. They found the most popular pornography sources.
You guys say porn.
Yeah. By women, and it was vampires.
What?
Billionaires. What? Surgeons.
Are you serious?
Pirates. All things like that.
I don't think surgeons
Werewolves was one.
Oh, whoa.
And it was...
I thought it was lesbian.
It was hilarious.
I thought the most commonly searched term on Pornhub for females was lesbian.
Yeah, but this was Google. This is bigger than just one side.
Oh, God. Wow, there's some weird shit out there. Fucking hell. Actually, I was really... I know we're talking about porn now, and this is getting way off track, and we can perfectly cut this part out if you would like to. But I was reading this post on, like, Vice or something like that about, like, people confessing
Vice.
to scat or something. They were into it.
Yeah.
And, oh, my God, I was, like, so fucked up. I was like, oh, my God.
Vice is retarded now.
I don't mind. I actually know someone who writes for Vice. That's really awkward for you to say that. She's a
It's
prominent...
retarded now.
What happened to it?
Get out.
Get out.
I swear I've seen it, articles where they gave pedophiles a platform to explain themselves in terms of like, oh, this is just, it's just another sexual preference. And you're going, no, it's not.
I don't think that's
it's
true.
Wrong.
I think
I'm pretty sure I saw something.
I don't
like
look.
that.
The way I look at pedophilia. I know this is getting way weird off topic, but the way I look at pedophilia, and please don't hate me for this, is that it's not right for you to have these types of thoughts. But there are people out there who don't think of performing them, and if they say to us, "I need help," and I want help for this.
I don't know, if they haven't done anything.
Yeah, if they haven't done anything, then I'm fine. Yeah, and if they're
the moment they do something,
the moment they do something and try to justify that act, well, I was like, no, honey.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
You go to prison.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's fucked up. But if someone's like, look, I know this is wrong, and I know that if I do this, I'm going to be sent to jail, that this is going to hurt people, this is going to hurt people around me, and I know I have to stop myself.
No, but you see, that's thinking of doing something, that's not doing anything. So if you haven't done it, I have a problem with you.
Yeah.
It's the moment you do it, that's
the
problem.
Yeah, exactly. That's what my thoughts are, exactly. So, like...
But they were like, I think they were talking about a guy who'd done something.
Oh, God. Then no. The thing is, I think, like, I read Pedestrian a lot as well. And I think Pedestrian's gotten a bit weird because there's different writers, obviously, who post in, but there's no one to actually look through and monitor these posts. So you'll literally have two posts in one day where they're both opposing different things or they're both, like, arguing different things.
Yeah, it's confusing and weird.
And you're like, I don't know what side of the news you are on. Why can't we just merge one post?
I don't know where they get their info from sometimes because lots of the time they don't cite anything.
No, that's true.
Which means it could be completely false.
Yeah. I only
probably is.
I also
really getting off track.
Yeah, anyways, okay. Well, this is something we should talk about a bit later.
Well, basically done.
Yeah.
Long and the short of it is if you really want to go and see Pirates of the Caribbean, then you can. I'm not going to stop you. I didn't think it was very good. I wouldn't recommend it, but hey, you can do what you want.
Well, my take is that if you do like the original series, you'll probably enjoy this one enough, and you probably won't feel cheated of your money. You probably never watch it again, but if you want, you can probably
if you're a huge
find
fan
it on
of
Netflix later on.
Johnny Depp, then you've probably seen it already.
Yeah, true.
I don't know how people are still big fans of Johnny Depp. Oh, it doesn't matter.
This is a long story we don't want to get into. Anyways, we will see you in next fortnight.
Next thing will be Wonder Woman and The Mummy.
Sounds good.
So, yeah.
Ciao.
Bye.